Hey, everybody. Give it a second for other folks to join us. How's everybody doing today?
Good. Nice, nice Seattle day here. Did you get hit by that storm?
I think I mostly slept through it. We got some heavy rain last night, and my wife said it got way heavier after I went to bed. But it's a nice, clear, sunny day here today.
Awesome. And you kept your power.
I kept my power. So Jeremy, are you really flying a plane in your avatar?
I am, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, my wife took that picture a couple years ago in front of Seattle.
Cool. Do you find that it's tiring for your arms?
Actually, yes, because there's no power steering in the planes I fly. So on a rough day, it's pretty bad.
Nice. The joke contains a kernel of truth.
It really does, yeah. I think back in the day, it was probably pretty painful to fly.
Oh yeah.
Well, why do you think foot pedals are a thing with flying? In the early biplanes, most of the controls were foot pedals because you needed your leg strength to actually operate them.
That makes sense.
Interesting. So was there just like an elevator control for your hand?
Yeah, I mean, basically the stick actually just controlled the small flaps because that was the only thing you were going to be able to manipulate with a stick. All of the big flaps were controlled with foot pedals.
Interesting. All right, well, why don't we get started? Welcome everybody. Josh, I think that you have the first agenda item.
Yep. So we have the results of the survey here. You'll have to look at it. Google Docs is freaking out on me, but I did already paste it in, I believe. Hopefully. Can you see the survey results in the agenda here?
Yeah, I see like some charts and graphs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me enable screen sharing and you could just show it. There you go.
Okay, hold on then. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's also in the agenda if you want to get a close up to it. But we got like another 7 votes since we had our conversation over email, but those were really consistent with everything else. So the votes seem pretty clear. Cluster set is both the least hated and the most liked option
By a huge amount.
Fairly substantial margin, yes. Out of the additional suggestions, because we did leave the additional suggestion question on the survey, the only one that looked at all plausible, particularly because 2 different people suggested it, is cluster pool. But personally, I don't find that a strong enough suggestion to do a 3rd round of surveying. Cluster set seems pretty strongly popular.
Same, and I also have a number of different contexts where people refer to a cluster pool as something that's like a holding area in connection with provisioning or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel the word cluster set conveys the idea that the clusters share a namespace a lot better than pool would.
Right. And we already have, various types of set resources as things that we already talked about in Kubernetes. So it's, it really fits.
Okay. So cluster set is our name, yes?
Seems like it.
I think so, yeah. The community has spoken very loudly.
Yep.
Well, thanks a lot, Josh, for all the help facilitating that determination process.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm deactivating the survey now. Okay, survey closed.
All right, so I guess we should make the result known in a public message to the list, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can go ahead and post that.
Okay. I suspect that we'll have a few other naming choices coming up, so I'd love to be able to do the same type of community-based determination process for those too.
Yeah, I feel like for the other items, I feel like it makes sense to do a survey just in the SIG until we can get it down to like 4 or 5 options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be that future things are not quite as wide-ranging as this was, but if we end up with another situation where we have like 15 options, then I think we want to narrow it down in the SIG first and then present it to the general community.
Yeah.
There was some discussions for naming the new Kubernetes SIGs repo that Jeremy was proposing. Do we feel like that needs a survey as well?
Speaking of that, I have just +1'd the PR and said that I preferred a shorter name, but you know, I'm totally fine to talk about it if we want to debate it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have a strong preference. I started with MCS API. I think, you know, kind of short is nice. And as soon as you click in, you know, there's enough context. And I know we've been using MCS a lot. If anyone feels like it needs to be longer or should be something else, though, I think, again, I don't have a real strong preference.
The only thing that I can think of really in favor of making it longer is disambiguation with the SE Linux multi-category security concept, which is probably what many people would think of when they heard the acronym MCS. But it seems to me like you go short or you go really, really long with this name. But,
right.
you know, give the people what they want. I would be okay asking a poll, but go ahead. Sorry.
I was actually also wondering if, and maybe there was past conversations about this, but why we want to make the repo specific to multi-cluster services. Like, do we see value in just calling it multi-cluster APIs? And then if there are future APIs that aren't related to services, we would put it in there as well.
So I would prefer to avoid doing that. And the reason for that is because in my experience, like there is a great fragmentation in what people actually want to do in this space in different functional areas. And I would be concerned about like a perception that we would be creating a monolith if we have an API repo with a ton of very different APIs. So my own personal preference would be to keep it separate for now.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this recently too, and I'm kind of in the same boat. Like separate is nice, it's isolated. In fact, I think we probably even want the API group eventually to be something like services.multicluster.k8s instead of just multicluster, because multicluster is big and there's going to be a lot of different things. And I think we just, yeah, like keeping it focused is good, especially if, you know, I think we're still entertaining the end goal of this might end up needing to be staging as we approach beta. If we do that, having it just be like the MCS part instead of everything else makes that a nice easy transition as well.
So one thing that I wonder as we're talking about this is whether it is really just going to be an API or whether there may ultimately be some degree of like universality in the controller implementations that accompany the API. I wonder if maybe multi-cluster services might be a better name for the repo.
Yeah, I think I'm curious what others think. I think, currently it's headed as just an API. I mean, with the caveat that because we're doing this this like derived service hack for alpha, there is a small controller, but I don't know if we currently plan to have a like standard or canonical implementation of the API. I know there's a few in the works, like Submariners made some progress implementing it. But yeah, that is a good point.
Could we just go with the current proposed MCS API and then rename it later? Or is there issues with renaming?
GitHub makes renaming things pretty easy.
Cool. Okay. So are we fine with that then?
I think we're okay with it.
Cool. All right.
Jeremy, I think you had the next agenda item.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the next thing was just I put up basically what I hope to be the SIG's MCS API repo under my GitHub, and I'll move it over once we have that. Take a look and play around. There's a demo so you can play with the controller and see how it works. And basically, there's some tools there to, like, it's got the CRDs, of course, but then there's also some tools to spin up a couple kind clusters that are linked and play around with it.
Awesome. So will this go provide the content for the MCS API repo under Kubernetes SIGs when that's created?
Yeah, that's my hope.
Okay, cool. All right, I think that was all of the agenda items today, but let me go double check. Yeah, that's all the agenda that we have for today. If there's nothing else, we can end it here and everybody can get a little bit of time back.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.
Thank you all.
Bye.